Good afternoon, everybody. I can't believe you put me on behind Minister Motley. First of all, I'd like to thank Tom and Hannah Ford for actually having me here, for putting the event together and allowing me to speak. Also, it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here among such great speakers. I truly know what God's unmerited favor is, by me just standing here today. So I'm truly blessed to be among you all. Thank you. Also, I'd like to welcome all the guests here, and particularly our gay protesters, wherever they are, because, there you go. Yeah, because actually it's not about us. My Bishop, Kyle Searcy, he did a message about a month and a half ago called No Selfies. We all get saved, and a lot of times we think it's all about us, but we didn't get saved for ourselves. We actually got saved for the lost. And so to our gay protesters out here today, I hope that you walk away blessed, and some of you all come away with something that can hopefully change your hearts about what's going on today. Well, how did we get here? How did we get here that gay is now the new black? It used to be a time where being gay would result in imprisonment or even death in some cultures. Then it became a mental disorder. Then from there, they say, you know what? Let's see if we can prove it by science, and that failed. But it wasn't until they actually identified and attached it to civil rights that they finally started to get some traction. Up until then, they were fighting in the dark, and it was still kept relatively in a small corner. But when they said it was a civil rights, it shut down a whole lot of people. It was an article written in a magazine called The Advocate by Michael Gross in 2005, where the phrase gay is the new black was actually first coined. Then you had Julian Bond, a former NAACP head at a banquet in 2005, who stated that sexual disposition parallels race. I was born this way. I have no choice. I wouldn't change it if I could. Sexuality is unchangeable. Once that happened, a lot of things will happen. If you said something against gay marriage as a civil rights, you were automatically considered to be a racist. They would say, who wants to be the next Wallace? Who wants to be on the wrong side of history? Then you have the black people who were traditionally very strong Christians. They automatically identify with it, to the point now where you have some black churches that are actually teaching that gay marriage is the new black. So I have several problems with this position. First of all, skin color is not a choice. Skin color is determined by genetics. No one has ever came out of the closet as black or white. The only thing that comes out of closets are choices. If you made a choice, then you can choose to come out the closet with that choice. So when you want to come out the closet as gay, you coming out with a choice and not genetics. Once sexual orientation becomes a choice and it becomes a civil rights, once it becomes a civil right and a minority group, what's next? Will then bisexuals, polygamy become a civil right? Will that become a protected group? Also, one of the first times when I heard that gay was the new black, I was offended. I think the first person I heard say it was Jesse Jackson, and I couldn't believe it. Because you look at, now personally being brought up in Montgomery, Alabama, I was the victim of racial violence. And I'm sure a lot of my older black people in the audience were also victims of racial violence. When they were through Jim Crow and slavery, it was government-sponsored racism. Under that, we were denied any public positions. We were denied service. We were forced into servitude, as well as we were considered property. We had no legal rights or recourse. There was no black person doing Jim Crow that was ever going to walk in any business, and because that business refused service, have the ability to shut that business down. That did not happen under Jim Crow. However, gays today their lifestyle has the full weight of the government behind it. As a matter of fact, coming out gay, you would be celebrated, as Bruce Jenner is, by receiving an SB Courage Award. You would be on the front cover of Vanity. and you will receive a personal congratulations by the President of the United States. I have never, ever heard of that happening for a slave or someone doing Jim Crow. So it is not the same. Also, they said, well, you know what? Well, Green, how can you be against that? Because, well, isn't that the same as interracial marriage? No, it's not the same. Doing interracial marriage, whites can marry any other race other than a black race. Also, doing that, even having that law did not redefine marriage. Marriage was still between a man and a woman. So legalizing interracial marriage simply removed the anti-black bigotry, which is the right thing to do. So in conclusion, what will you do? What is your 30 pieces of silver? Today, many Christians have been bullied by media and just false information into being silent. For their 30 pieces of silver, which is their houses, their cars, their jobs, their friends, they remain silent. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, German Lutheran pastor and theologian, executed by the Nazis for daring to speak out against Hitler. He stated, "Silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God would not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak, and not to act is to act." So be bold, and thank you. God bless.